guys, Coops here from the Whole Box and Dice, and this is the follow-up video to the Booster Pack Deck Build Challenge, where we pulled Saheeli, so pretty stoked about that. You know, couldn't have asked for a much better card to start the series off like this. Planeswalker, so relevant in the current format with artifacts being such a big deal. So pulled Saheeli out. Really, his deck's been gone a lot of different directions. You know, it started off really Gearhulk heavy, and I really tried to make full use of just dropping just as many Gearhulks as I could get on the battlefield. But the white Gearhulk didn't really work. Although there was some white cards that I wanted to run, and then the black Gearhulk definitely worked better, but didn't really have the mana base that if I had to play the black Gearhulk, it would would support itself. So it's been fun building this deck. I hope I've taken it to a place that you guys like, and can't wait to get your thoughts on it. So as you saw with the last video, or if you didn't watch it, we pulled Saheeli, so we're building a deck around her today. So the deck's got 4 copies of her. And we really do get value over her whole suite. Like her whole ability list has some benefit to us, which is really nice. The +1, the Scry is really good. We're looking at a lot of cards in this deck, and we do occasionally, do go digging for cards, and the Scry is always nice. The damage is always good, keeps them honest, keeps that ticking down. It'd be amazing if you got a draw, but then she'd be, a Jace for 3 with damage, which is probably broken, so maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. Her -2, getting that second token body on the field that's a copy of one of your Gearhulks, because that's really all we're going to use it for. And reactivating that ETB, that's invaluable. That's really, really solid. And we're running 4, like I said, in the deck of Saheeli, so you do have the ability to just kind of keep creating copies of Gearhulk, even though it means, plus running Saheeli the first time, so you've got 4 loyalty to do the -2 twice, and just get yourself in a position where you just really get, super value from that Gearhulk there. And, like the red Gearhulk's got first strike anyway, so it's going to be an issue for, swinging in, so creating a second copy of that, not like it's, make a major difference, but, against some of those life gain decks, stops that from happening, which is always nice because you're getting in there and dealing the damage first. So, yeah, look, you've got a couple of good uses with a -2, but it's really all about our ultimate. We want to use that -7. We want to drop stuff on the battlefield, and we want to really get the most value out of that ultimate there, because that's what she's there for. That's why she's a Planeswalker. The ultimate's supposed to be game changing, and it definitely is. In this deck. How do we get there? How do we set ourselves up to really make the most from the ultimate? Probably before we jump into the creatures, I'm just going to start off with the only enchantment in the deck, and it's a 4 of Authority of the Consuls. In the early testing and just playing this deck through, there's so many decks in the format. That red-green aggro energy deck with Reckless Bushwhacker, or the red-white vehicles with Toolcraft Exemplar and Smuggler's Copter. There was heaps of stuff that just was a little bit too fast for us, and making your opponent's creatures come in tapped stops vehicles being crewed. The Reckless Bushwhacker third trick is effectively null and void, and this just really meant that we just couldn't buy ourselves a little bit of time against those killer draws, from our opponent. And even if we didn't get the life, I think I'd still play this just for the fact that it keeps us in the game so well. And this is really the ideal 1-drop. It's why we're playing 4 of them. And that'll take us actually straight into our ideal 2-drop, which is going to be the Consulate Skygate. And I really wanted a creature here that had the ability to deal with everything, like I just mentioned, the format that is just a nightmare early game. It's a 0/4 with reach, so it can handle Copter. And it doesn't trade with anything. It doesn't trade with a Bushwhacker. It doesn't trade with a Copter. Not even Toolcraft Exemplar with its abilities. So the fact that, you want to place a Saheeli on turn 3, it's a really solid, opening, Consul, Skygate, Saheeli. It's a really good first opening kind of sequence. And it gives you some protection. To start plus running Saheeli and not leaving her, so exposed, which obviously you want. Obviously we're running, four of the walls there. And then we jump all the way up to the Gearhulks. We go straight from that to 3 Torrential and 3 Cataclysmic Gearhulks. And these guys are just beasts, refill your hand or risk them taking the damage of whatever the CMC is that you draw off the top and pulling an instant from your graveyard and recasting it. Hopefully I've done something, a little bit different here. I've seen so many decks run like kill spells or Glimmer of Genius and stuff and get that replayability when it enters the battlefield, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just kind of want to go for something like the biggest board impact that I could possibly do when we play the Gearhulk, and to enable that, we're going to play 2 copies of the Panham as well. So 2 copies of Panharmonicon, pretty self-explanatory. Gearhulk Center, double ETBs. It pretty much guarantees they're never going to let you throw those cards away on the Combustible Gearhulk, because that's just too much damage. No one wants that, especially when you see some of the spells that we're playing. And the double spell playback from the graveyard. Once again, when you see the spells are playing, just is a heck of a punch when they enter the battlefield. And I'll go through some of those spells that we're playing now. We're playing 2 copies of Scour from Existence and 3 copies of Grip of Desolation. So straight away, exile target permanent, exile target creature, and target land. If these are in the graveyard, this is just, with a Panham out, 2 of these, and you have games where you get to exile 2 lands and 2 creatures. That just changes their board so very much, especially some of these 2 and 3 mana, decks that we're seeing that are running multiple colors. This really affects their mana base and can really make things quite rocky as well. You can get things rid of like a Westphale as well, which is always nice. You can get rid of like Inventor's Fair, in those vehicle decks as well. So plenty of value from these spells, and we really probably never want to actually be casting them. In all honesty, we want them in the graveyard, and how we're going to do that is 4 copies of Tormenting Voice and 1 copy of Cathartic Reunion. So as you can see, spells in your hand, chuck them out straight away, get the card draw, flash them back with the blue Gearhulk. So that's the plan. We're running 4 Aether Hubs in the deck, which you'll see in the land base, but so we could cast Desolation, but we're really not looking to pay the converted mana cost. If something's happened with these, then I don't know, you've had like Saheeli or your Gearhulk's lost Legacy or something, you're in a bad way. It's probably not going to end well for you if you're having to pay the CMC for these spells. But that's how we're getting them in the graveyard. But there's also another thing I found when I was playing this deck is that even with Consuls and with Skygate and stuff, we still sometimes the boards just get a little bit too prickly kind of early on, and having access to these 2 mana draw discard spells, and even the Geier Sanitarium, which you'll see in the land base again, the ability to drop a Gearhulk into your graveyard on turn 2 or turn 3, and then play Refurbish on turn 4, which we're playing 3 of in the deck. Just the ability to bring that out turn 4, if you've had a Cathartic Reunion on turn 2 kind of thing, you're throwing away 2 cards, you throw away Gearhulk and something like a Grip of Desolation, bring it back with Refurbish, whatever creature that's most threatening on the board's gone, and then you've also got the ability to send them back a land in the early game. That just, it really wrecks their flow, and that's just a little kind of like a fail-safe, a little kind of safety that I wanted to put in the deck, because those boards that do get pretty big or even just pretty challenging early game, I wanted a solution, and being able to put a big body, either one of the Gearhulks on the battlefield was a good way to do that. And 2 ahead, normally turn 6 you're playing these Gearhulks to get him in turn 4. That's a pretty solid deal. Once Gearhulks are on the battlefield, though, got a couple of other things. So like things like Essence Flux, running 2 copies of that. If you just need to, to hit it again, you just need to do another ETB. Whether it's you've dropped another couple of instants in your graveyard that you want to play, or even if you just want to refill your hand, 2 copies of Essence Flux. We're seeing enough cards anyway with Geier and Cathartic Reunion and Tormenting Voice, so I'm not worried about running more. 2, you're going to get to these, enough. So, that's not a big deal, and it is. It's just really solid. Play it instant speed as well, so you can play it as well, during their turn, and just flash that Gearhulk back on and reap the benefit. And, with Panham, with the Panharmonicon, being able to just do that multiple times, just at any point of the game, it's just, the first time you do it's bad enough. When you can do it again, it's just silly. And, especially if you haven't seen some of those spells and stuff, and, you've got 5 in there, these 6 and 7 mana spells. Let's say they just say no, like, throw the cards away, I'll take the CMC. You get that, and you pull a 7 or a 6 mana spell and like a Refurbish or something, and maybe probably a land. But, that's, you get 6, plus 7, and, with those big spells, 6 or 7 damage, you get 10 to 13 damage kind of thing on most of the times that I've seen this played, when they want you to take the cards, and that's just, that's game-changing in itself. So there's plenty of ways it'll, certainly like game 2, they will pause. They'll be like, no, not that again. No, thank you. Like that's not happening. So it's a lot of fun to be able to kind of have that just like smirk of terror kind of going. We're like, okay, if you really want to do this, let's see what happens. But we're also running 1 copy of Madcap Experiment, and I was really glad we could actually fit this into the deck because, it's a little bit silly. I've seen some great applications in it in Modern and stuff, but there are going to be draws where, like, the draw gods are just like, nah, don't get any Gearhulks. Just draw the walls. Like, you totally set up, you got 4 walls, you're killing it. Maybe even a couple of Saheelis, but no, nothing. None of your Gearhulks, and you turn 6, 7 in. You've drawn your opening hand. You've probably drawn a couple extra cards anyway from like a Tormenting Voice or a Cathartic Reunion or a Sanitarium. And just knowing that you can drop this, and maximum you're going to take is like 3 to 5 damage, and you're going to get a Gearhulk on the field. Yeah, you might get a wall, which is going to suck, but most of the time, if you haven't seen the Gearhulks, you tend to get one. And then once again, like Refurbish, a Gearhulk for 4, isn't a bad deal, even if you do have to take a little bit of life when, to get it out in the battlefield. So, that's kind of where we went with the deck. Like I said, we really wanted to make use of that, really wanted to use all those abilities, as much as possible. And I think we've done that. I think we've built a deck that combos well, but also has a bit of life outside of that as well. And the mana base is pretty simple. There's nothing too extraordinary in there. 4 Aether Hubs, running Spirebluff Canal and Inspiring Vantage as well, and 2 copies of the Sanitarium, as I previously mentioned, and then the rest just basics there. Like I said at the start, this was the hardest bit, was just getting the mana base so you had those spells open to you during the appropriate turns. I had the black and the white Gearhulk in, when I first was building this deck, and such a shame that the white Gearhulk has that ability of that board wipe. Not that it's not a good ability, just in this deck, it just doesn't really fit with what we're trying to do. Would have loved it if it was like a life gain kind of mechanic, or something, I don't know, something similar to that. I had the black Gearhulk in there as well, which, 2, 3 creatures getting killed with a couple of Panhams out is also amazing. But there's also times where you have to cast, these Gearhulks. You've just got to play them. And, I wanted to run Refurbish, and I wanted to play Consuls as well. So just having that 4th mana in there was just a little bit too shaky. But, what I really like about the deck, though, is at every kind of build that I did, you can see that the deck can go a different way. You can definitely play, like a Grixis style kind of Gearhulk deck, black, red, blue, where you play things like Ever After and Macabre Waltz, and that kind of stuff to get your Gearhulks back on the battlefield or back into your hand, and then you can use the black Gearhulk and you can abuse that kill trigger. So You know, and with the White Gearhulk, there are definitely cards, you know, that complement that. But, you know, this shell, I think, works really well. Works with Saheeli. It makes sense. And, you know, Saheeli was our hero card, so that's what we wanted to do. But, you know, like, I looked at some other cards, you know, so if you don't have 6 Gearhulks or play set of Saheeli, because, you know, geez, it's not cheap. Even the lands are expensive. You know, they're starting to come down, though, actually, though. They are starting to get a little bit cheaper, but still not fun at all. You don't need to run this, like, in its full build, because you can just take the concept, and there are so many cards that will enable the concept. You know, things like Not Forgotten, if you are sticking to these colours, you know, to play a Gearhulk and then put it back on top of your library, is really, really good. Plus, you just get the 1/1 as well, which is always nice to just leave a creature behind whenever you cast a spell. You know, even things like Perpetual Timepiece, you know, like, this is a great card, you know, like, there's so much removed from the format at the moment. They've killed Panham, they've removed it, you know, they've killed your Gearhulks as well. They're having a great time. They're like, you know, they're game 2, they're like, I know what you're all up about, like, you know, what are you going to do now? Like, your ultimate's done, like, you're not going to be able to do any damage. For 2 and exiling, you know, Perpetual Timepiece, which is, you know, who cares? Like, good, you've done your job. You just put that all back in your deck. You know, you literally just take your graveyard and go straight back in, and you ultimate Saheeli, and they just go, no, I didn't want that, and you just say, too bad. You know, GG, I'm back now. All my Gearhulk's back, and you know, deal with that all again. You know, maybe you've kept a Panham in there as well. You've got a Panham out as well, so you get double ETB. So there's, like I said, there's more than one way, and I like that about the deck. I like that it has a bit of flexibility, and I really enjoyed putting this one together. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. You know, if you do, you know, standard YouTube stuff, man, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe if you want to see some new ones. Just finished doing the video for the next booster that I opened, so got a pretty cool one in that as well. So pretty lucky, 2 from 2, feeling good. And you know, like I said, if you've got any comments, if you played this deck, you know, if you played it against this deck, like at an F&M or seen it at your local game store, you know, shout me out. Tell me how it went. You know, tell me what changes you would make. You know, just what your opinion is. Because, you know, this is why I do this. I like building decks. Hate seeing rares in my folder, and you know, let's put them to good use together. So this has been Coops from the Whole Box and Dice. Thanks again for watching. I've enjoyed chatting Magic with you. Peace, guys.